Hey, it's Verity here. Welcome to my YouTube channel and blog, Pretty Little Button, where I make paper crafting tutorials for the everyday crafter. If you follow my blog, you may have seen recently that I did a few colour combinations with ink blending using Catherine Paula inks. And what this video is based on is those ink colour combinations to create ink blended backgrounds for some of the new release from Catherine Paula Designs, the Beautiful New Year. So there'll be 3 stamp sets that I'm using from this collection, and that is the Sincere Thank You stamp set, the Sparkle and Pop stamp set, and the Beautiful Day Floral stamp set, all released in her new release just recently. So for the first colour combination, I'm using Sangria, Queen for a Day, and Juniper Mist, and these create a gorgeous, really warm, ink blended background perfect for a night sky. So I'm just going to go over some of the ink blending, sharing my tips and how I like to create the smooth blend. Now my tip number 1 is to ensure that you've got a nice smooth surface. Now I've placed down an Altenew ink blending silicone mat, but you can use a glass surface as well. It needs to be slick, so then when you bring your ink blending tool from the surface onto the card, it's nice and smooth and slick. In addition, what I suggest is that you make sure the ink blending sponge tool that you use has really soaked in ink well, because that will help you get a good blend and less than harsh marks. So here you can see I've ink blended Juniper Mist on, and now I'm going to go in with Queen for a Day. Now when blending them together, it's really important that you blend in circular motions with these tools. This again helps reduce the harsh lines that you may see on the paper. And you really want to make sure that you saturate the paper well. Now you either want to use a smooth cardstock like Catherine Paula's Designs white cardstock, or use something like a Bristol smooth cardstock or a watercolour cardstock for really, really smooth ink blending. Now, I also find that you can get quite messy with your fingers when you're doing big panels like this. So I noticed, I think it was Jennifer Maguire on one of her videos, using sort of a ruler or her Misty cut-a-line to place over the top. It's either Jennifer Maguire or perhaps Christina Werner. And I thought this is a great way because you've got a lot of surface to hold that card down. You're not going to get your fingers grubby and you're not going to get fingerprints all over your background. So the last colour I'm going in here is with Sangria, and blending this on at the bottom just to give a little bit of warmth to this night sky. Now, it's always a good idea to go back in between the colours, so I'll go back in with a Queen for a Day over Sangria just to really blend the transition between the 2 colours to get a lovely, smooth, blended background. So the next colour combination I'm going to go and use is Suede Shoes, Aquatini and Limoncello. This creates a really lovely, vibrant background. You could almost use this sort of a summer or a spring day where it's really bright and vibrant, and you've got like the yellow from the sunshine blending into the beautiful blue sky. So for this one, I'm starting off with my lightest ink and going in with the Limoncello. Again, bringing this off on the silicone mat onto the card and using those circular motions. And making sure that I'm going back between Aquatini and Limoncello to really blend those colours together. And you'll get this gorgeous bright green between the Aquatini and the Limoncello. Once I've done that, I can then flip it round and I will start adding the last colour, which is Suede Shoes, which is a really, really gorgeous, deep, sort of vibrant, bold blue. And then when you blend this with Aquatini, you're going to get a gorgeous teal blue colour between the 2 as they blend. So whilst I was doing these backgrounds, I also cut a couple of strips that measured about 1 1/4 by 4 1/4 wide, just to also add the ink blending to these strips, so then I can keep them on a little tag. And I've got these ink colour combos for future use when I'm unsure what colours go well and blend well together. I can just look at that swatch of ink blending colour combinations. So for this last card, the ink colours I have gone for are more muted. So I've gone for a Hot Tub, Skylight and Daydream. So this is creating kind of a more dusky spring evening with this dusky tealy colours to them. And I'm starting off again with my lightest colour, the Hot Tub, which is a beautiful, beautiful sort of sagey mint aqua colour that is just beautiful. All of these colours feature in the Spa collection. And the first colour combination where we use Juniper Mist, Queen for a Day and Sangria all in the Catherine Paula Spa collection. And you know any colours that go in Spa collection really, really blend well together because they're in a more muted colour range. Whereas the second colour combination with the suede shoes, aquatine and limoncello are part of her party collection, so they're really vibrant colours, and all those vibrant colours pair really well. So I've blended Hot Tub on, and then I'm going in with Skylight, and these are quite similar in colour. So Skylight's just a more darker colour, and that makes it really easy to blend. So this colour combination, if you struggle blending between colours, you might find this one really easy, because they're all very similar, they're all very different tones of the same sort of shade of colour, that you might find this blending really easy and get a seamless blend. So the last colour is the darkest tone, which is Daydream. This blends seamlessly into that Skylight. And I absolutely love this kind of ombre teal background that I've created with these three colours. So as I said, I did then also make sure that I transferred these colours to those strips. As you can see, it's a very thin strip. It's just to give the impression of that blended background so that I can refer to them in later date and use them quite easily and pick them really well for my cards. So for this first card, I'm just checking that the card is dry, because we've applied a lot of ink and I intend to heat emboss over the top. So I need to make sure it's dry, because I don't want any of the embossing powders to stick to areas where the card is still wet from the inking, rather than the embossing powder sticking to some stamping that I've done in embossing ink. So this is a really good way just to check that you don't need to dry it anymore, and if you do, just heat it with your dual speed heat gun on setting 1. That reduces its chance of warping, but it will dry your cardstock for you. So for this card, I'm going to use the Sparkle and Pop stamp set from Catherine Bullock Designs that came out in the beautiful New Year release. And I'm selecting a variety of the different stamps from the stamp set. Now these can be combined to create a variety of different fireworks, and you can layer them all up into different combinations so you can make really unique looking cards. And I've positioned about 3 of them on there. And now I'm using my Wow Clear Ultra Slow and Dry Embossing Pad to just stamp these down. And I stamped them a couple of times to ensure that I got a good impression. And I'm covering them with metallic silver embossing powder. When this heat sets, this looks like a lovely, glistening, shiny silver. And I thought this was a beautiful colour to use for fireworks, just popping off that dark ink blended night sky we created. Now, as I said, these are layering stamps, so you can layer up the different patterns to create really unique fireworks. So I've added a few more over the top, stamped them once more in embossing ink, and then I'm covering it with Wow Metallic Gold Rich embossing powder. And you can really see that contrast between the silver and the gold. It's a beautiful shine. The stamp set also has some smaller little stars of varying different sizes, and I'm just again stamping these and heat embossing them in either silver or gold embossing powder just to make it shine. In addition, to add a few more stars, I'm just using a white jelly pen just to draw a few stars on and also create lots of dots in the background to make it a beautiful night sky and just make it look a little bit more realistic, so those fireworks are going off in a beautiful sky full of stars. Okay, so for the soft ink sort of teal ombre background that we created, I am using the Beautiful Day Floral stamp set. This is a lovely large stamp, and I'm just stamping it into one corner with my embossing ink. And the stamp set also has a few additional smaller stamps of some floral elements as well as leaves, and I'm just stamping these around the corner to create sort of a swag around that corner. And once I've stamped them in embossing ink, I'm going to cover them with opaque bright white embossing powder. And this, when it's heat set, will just really pop against that lovely ombre background and create a beautiful contrast and really highlight the beauty in the stamp design. Now, in addition, once this was heat set, I also added a bit more interest to the background because Catherine Bullock inks are water reactive. I added a few splatters of water just to sort of bleach some areas of that background, just to create a little bit more interest and variation. For the really vibrant ink blended background that we created, I'm using the Sincere Thanks stamp set from Catherine Bullock's beautiful New Year release. And I'm using that really bold, big thanks sentiment. And I've positioned it in the middle of the card, and I'm going to create a sort of repeating pattern of this thanks, but it's going to appear like a ghost in the background. So to do this, I've used my Creative Corners from Misty to just make sure I align it nice and straight. And then I'm stamping it in Wow Clear Ultra Slow Drying Embossing ink. And I'm stamping it several times because I really want to create a really intense watermark look. And then I'm going to move my card up about 1 inch to 1.5 inches. I'm doing this by eye guessing. And then I'm restamping that again in embossing ink, doing it several times just to get a really strong, vibrant look. Now bear in mind, in the lighter colour with Limoncello, it won't show up as much because it is a much lighter colour. And the watermark effect really works well with the darker colours. So you'll notice that further up on the top with suede shoes, you really get this vibrant, dark look to it. Now to finish these cards off, I stamped a selection of sentiments from all the stamp sets in white embossing powder on black card, and I trimmed all the sentiments down so I could foam mount them onto the cards. Now to finish the cards off, I'm also adding some chalk stick vintage drops from Tonic Studios just to embellish the cards. I added quite a few on the firework background because again this could mimic some of the stars in the background and in the night sky. So I hope this video has shown you some really useful colour combinations that you can use when ink blending with Catherine Pooler inks. If you didn't catch the actual blog post about these ink blending colour combinations, I have got it over on my blog and it's linked in the description box below in case you want to refer to what colours were used once more. And you'll also find a link to the supplies used in today's video. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. I am going to continue doing some more series with colour blending combinations with Catherine Pooler inks, as I think they are beautiful inks to use and create with. If you liked today's video, please give it a thumbs up, and why not think about subscribing to the channel. You can hit that bell icon to be notified when my next video is up. Until next time, happy crafting!